The first Metroidvania that got me into the genre was Hollow Knight. This is both good and bad. Good because Hollow Knight is an absolute banger of a game. It may be one of my favorites in the past decade, in fact. Bad because, well, it's kind of difficult to find something that scratches that Hollow Knight itch. Luckily, I stumbled upon 8 Doors, Arums Afterlife Adventure. 8 Doors managed to scratch both the Hollow Knight and Metroidvania itch I've had since I played Ori 1 and 2 last year. It's a very good game, and I haven't seen a ton of gamers talking about it, so I figured I would. Here's my review of 8 Doors, Arums Afterlife Adventure. There are dozens of 2D Metroidvanias in the indie game scene, and few manage to distinguish themselves. Normally it takes one of two things, and if we're lucky, both, to rise above the rest. The first thing you need is a world worth exploring. A way to achieve this can be through art style, and 8 Doors has a distinct and absolutely gorgeous one. If it wasn't for the art style, I can say without a doubt I would not have found this game on Steam. It caught my eye and I'm glad it did. All of the backdrops use these muted grays, blacks, and reds. Everything appears to have this hand-drawn look to it. The game would feel right at home in an illustrated storybook. To go along with this art style, I've read this world is based around Korean folklore. While I know absolutely nothing about Korean folklore and cannot speak with any sort of authority on accurate representation, every enemy, character, and boss I encountered looked unique and had a ton of personality. In addition to a fantastic art design, 8 Doors has a good enough story to keep me interested throughout my playthrough. Arum, the main character, travels to the afterlife to find the spirit of his late father. Once Arum arrives in the afterlife, we begin to see not everything is as it seems. The quest to find Arum's father ends up transforming into something bigger than Arum could ever imagine. It's a pretty simple video game premise, but the characters we meet, the interesting world building, and the lore kept me interested. The second thing you need for a good Metroidvania is solid gameplay mechanics. We need our jumps to be precise, combat to flow smoothly, and a well-paced progression system. Arum has that too. The core gameplay mechanics are pretty solid from what I can tell. I'm not the greatest at platformers or action games, but rarely did I ever feel like I missed a jump or died because of bad game design. Speaking of dying, 8 Doors is a pretty challenging game. In fact, as far as platforming goes, I believe it's a bit tougher than both Ori and Hollow Knight. The good news is, other than losing progress, you don't get penalized for dying. There are no Souls-like mechanics where you lose your gold or anything like that. It's a good thing too, because I died quite a bit. To make it through the tougher platforming segments, you have to memorize and time your jumps and dashes perfectly. Same with bosses. Every enemy and boss has a pattern, and they often have a tell so you know what move they're about to use. You can't just grind out levels to out DPS bosses. To win, you will have to learn how to fight them. Instead of leveling up, Arum gains abilities in 3 ways, through perk points, traversal skills, and weapons. All 3 blend together well. Certain weapon and combat skills work well with traversal skills. Just about everything you unlock has some sort of secondary usage. I love this about 8 Doors. All too often I get an item or a secondary weapon in a game and then quickly forget it even exists once I don't have to use it to progress anymore. I actually had fun switching between all of my weapons depending on the situation or what I was in the mood to use. The only negative as far as the progression system is that I don't think Arum progresses enough. Towards the end of the aforementioned Hollow Knight and Ori, I could fly across the map crazy fast and kill anything in my way rather easily. In 8 Doors, I never really felt that way. Some of the world design can make backtracking for collectibles and perk points a bit of a pain even with a near fully upgraded character. The other issue one may have with the game is the fact that it's pretty derivative of Hollow Knight. In each area, Arum can find a secret map vendor, grubs are replaced by lost spirits, and there's one particular boss that just screams Grim Troop. I can totally see some people writing this game off as a Hollow Knight clone, but I don't think that's fair. With its characters and art style, I believe 8 Doors has its own unique identity. I would say it's more inspired by Hollow Knight, and frankly, that's not a bad thing at all to me. If you're like me at all, and you like Metroidvanias, games with unique art styles, and indie games in general, I would suggest picking this game up. It's a challenging and rewarding action platformer, and I'm so glad I was able to find it. Thanks for watching.